the house, and there's that little blonde girl I told you about earlier. And I said, I'm going to sue the federal government, I'm going to sue the Clinton administration to stop the Brady bill, and I hope you'll support me. And she goes, what are you talking about? And besides, don't I get a kiss? And I said, okay. And so I'm going to sue the federal government, really. And it'll probably cost us our home and livelihood and job and career. And she goes, well, as I recall, we weren't really looking for this job when we got in. And you know what? I said, I'll take that as a yes. And she says, you do what you got to do. So I went back to my office the next day, and I was never a member of any gun rights groups, never a member of the NRA or anything like that. But my undersheriff was. He was really into guns, and he was a real hunter. He was glad I wasn't, because I was always there when he wanted to go hunting. And I'd rather play golf anyway. Don't forget. And so I said, does the NRA have a toll-free number that you can call and get advice and stuff? And he goes, well, this is their toll-free number, and he gave me his card. And I called him, and after I got transferred about 5 or 6 times, I landed in the office of one Richard Gardner, and he's a lawyer for the NRA. And he says, Sheriff, we've already been preparing the paperwork on this case. All we needed was someone like you, and we've been praying that you would call. And so I said, let's go for it. And I said another thing too, is I said, but I really appreciate your help, and I said, but I want my own lawyer as well. And I said, not that I don't want to work with you, I do. But I also want everyone to know that it's not the NRA's lawsuit, that it's mine. And I said, can you recommend a lawyer here in Arizona somewhere? And they said, yeah, Dave Hardy in Tucson, Arizona. He's a constitutional guy and a real Second Amendment expert. I retained Hardy to be my lawyer. And he worked with the NRA, and by the time the Brady bill took effect on January 28, 1994, I filed the lawsuit, Federal District Court in Tucson. And then a few weeks later, Sheriff Prince in Montana did the same thing. He filed a separate action. And then I don't know when Sheriff McGee did, but he joined also. And you know what, folks? Out of 3,100 sheriffs, 7 filed this lawsuit. 7. 7.
We got 2 of them.
The magnificent seven. Anyway, and I was proud to get to know some of these other sheriffs, and it was amazing. One from Texas, one from Mississippi, one from Louisiana, one from Vermont, one from Wyoming, one from Montana, and one from Arizona. And if you think we were all thrilled about suing the Clinton administration, especially if you looked at the history of what happens to people who cross the Clintons, we weren't really saying, man, I'm glad I ran for sheriff because I got to do this wonderful thing, and it's going to be so fun. No, I don't think it was any of that stuff. And it was a real roller coaster ride. Yeah, there were some highs, but there were lots of lows. And there was hate mail and hate calls and all this other stuff going on. But we moved forward with the case. And you know, I'm an investigator, and I do a lot of research. And a lot of this stuff that you'll see here tonight that I'm talking about, it's all plagiarized. I'm just the messenger. Some of it I'll tell you when it's mine. But as a researcher, I put a lot of this stuff together, and a lot of this comes right out of the United States Supreme Court. And I can plagiarize that because I filed it. Okay? And I want you to know what it did and what it did for America, because the rest of the national media and the White House has hidden this amazing miracle from you. And we're going to talk about that tonight. But I want it plain and simply understood that of all the people who sued Clinton, our case was the only one that was done on a non-sexual matter. Yeah, and my wife was with me when I told that joke, you know, Sheriff, and she goes, "You're darn tootin'." I said, "Oh, yeah." At least she was grateful for that one. And so we moved forward this way at district court level. McGee won, I won, Prince won, Frank won, Romero won, and Coog, the only one from Texas, lost. He was the only one at the district level that lost. And so all the victories, the federal government appealed. And now his case is getting appealed to the 5th Circuit, mine's getting appealed to the 9th Circuit, which is in San Francisco, and you don't win anything there on the Constitution. Even though we got a 2-to-1 split, we lost. But his case, McGee, Coog, and Romero at New Orleans, they won. And now we have 2 circuits conflicting. And so that almost guaranteed it. It was, my lawyer said it would be about 80% certain that the Supreme Court would straighten out that mess. And sure enough, they did. And now the miracle is complete. On December 4th, 1996, Sheriff Prince and I, our case goes before the United States Supreme Court. And it lasts 1 hour. That's it. And there was another miracle there. I told the people getting us out there that I really wanted to take at least 2 of my children with me. And so Rich and Lucy got to go with me to the Supreme Court, but they were told all along that they wouldn't be able to go inside because of security, and they had to reserve a seat. And security there is tight. I mean, really tight. Everybody's name is assigned to a certain seat, blah, blah, blah. And so a couple of people, just right before we went in, canceled. And they called my lawyer and said, Matt can have his 2 kids go in. So 2 of my children got to go to the Supreme Court with that. And it was amazing. And this was an awesome experience to go in there. And I thought when our lawyer got up and the Supreme Court started just shooting darts at him, I said, we're done, we're losing. There's no way we can win this. And then when Janet Reno's lawyer got up, her right-hand man got up, I said, we got this thing hands down. Because I mean, they grilled him to a raw crisp. And it was amazing. And at one point, Scalia gets a little bit funny sometimes, and he's the one that actually wrote the decision for the majority of the court. And it was a 5-4 split decision. It was close, but we won. And at one point, he mentioned that we're going to turn them to puppets of a ventriloquist Congress. And you know who he was talking about? The states. That we turn the states into puppets of a ventriloquist Congress. In other words, they can't do that. And he talked about commandeering all the nation's law enforcement officers into federal bidding. And that the federal government's power would be augmented immeasurably if it were allowed to commandeer all the cops in this country for their bidding. In other words, they can't do that. Didn't I tell you from the beginning? They cannot tell us what to do. And so let's go over that just a little bit. Here again, that's the case that you have, signed by 2 of the Magnificent 7. Okay? And over in this case, the overall motto is this, and it says it, and Scalia says this several times. State legislatures are not subject to federal direction. End quote. Don't you wish your state legislature knew that? Don't you wish your governor knew that? Yes. So, take them one of these or take them the book and let them see for themselves. But that's what this case said. Okay? The Mack-McGee case, okay, absolutely says it. We have held, however, that state legislatures are not subject to federal direction. It's page 6 of the decision of the ruling. Okay? And let's go through this and we're going to just touch on a few of the more powerful comments. Residual state sovereignty was also implicit, of course, in the Constitution's conferral upon Congress of not all governmental powers, but only discrete enumerated ones. So is the federal government all powerful? Not even close. They're the least powerful government of all of them. Of all of them. And what was the Constitution devised to do? Limit the federal government. That's the only thing. You should call it the constitutional. No, don't call it Constitution. Call it federal limitation, because that's what its purpose was.